Welcome to CXWise, the podcast where we share wisdom, insights, stories, and expertise from the world of customer experience. I'm your host, Nathan Bennett, and you're about to hear real-world experiences and practical advice that will elevate your CX game no matter your title and no matter your industry. So, without further ado, let's get wise. My guest today is customer experience expert and influencer Shep Hyken. Shep is a New York Times bestselling author whose books include Moments of Magic, The Loyal Customer, The Amazement Revolution, Amaze Every Customer Every Time, Be Amazing or Go Home, The Convenience Revolution, and his most recent one, I'll Be Back. He's an award-winning keynote speaker, host of the popular podcast Amazing Business Radio, and most importantly, a father of 3. Shep, welcome to CXWise. How are you, sir?
Thank you very much. And I've got to add father of 3 and husband of 1.
She's going to love that you added that in there.
But just time to roll up and focus on customer experience.
You know,
her being the customer.
Her being the customer and her experience with you. Amen to that. You know.
Well, by the way, I know this is a business show. We're talking about CXWise and customer experience. Just so you know that everything we talk about today is going to apply to your personal life with your partner, your spouse, your significant others, your kids, the people you love, because you need to treat them just like you want to treat your very, very best customers. Just had to throw that in to get a little business zing in there on this.
I love it. So I have to ask you before we get into like business stuff. I know that would it be fair to say that you're kind of an accomplished guitarist? Yeah?
Well, I don't know if I'm accomplished, but I go at it pretty good. I practice quite often, almost every day. You can see here in my office, I even keep a couple of guitars. When everybody goes home, I play when nobody's here.
I mean, that's pretty good. You're a little one-man band. So here's my question for you. If you could play lead guitar for any band, past or present, on stage, Madison Square Garden, who would you play with?
Oh, boy. There are so many great, the Beatles. Why not?
Oh, why not?
Yeah. Isn't that a good group?
It's the best. It's the best. So you were you not, the assistant to the great magician Mark Wilson? Is that right?
So there was a conference in Philadelphia, and they needed an assistant, an onstage assistant, and
So my question is, you're such an accomplished speaker today. What did you learn from Mark Wilson, observing him, that you bring to the stage with you?
Sure, and realize, in addition to being a musician, I'm also a magician, practicing my card tricks quite often. So I would say watching the performers in rehearsal, I recognize that as practiced as you are, as rehearsed as you are, before you go on, you're still rehearsing. Every single move was being rehearsed again and again. The detail and attention to lighting, because there were a lot of dancers, big illusions, there was fire, there was lots that could go right and lots that could go wrong. They're looking at every interaction they were having with each other, because they had to support each other in order to deliver the show to the audience, which happened to be their customers. No mistakes. A flawless performance is what we're focused on.
Shep, I love what you said about the detailed approach to customer experience that you learned from Mark Wilson, and how every single touch point matters. Just like as a stage magician, every little gesture matters, every little positioning of the hand matters, the direction of the focus matters. All of those things are great. So my last question before we get into business is this. If you and I were sitting down next to each other on a plane, and I turned over to you and I introduced myself, and I said, hey, what do you do for a living? How would you answer me?
I would say I sell life insurance. Do you have life insurance?
And I would be like, I'm going to start reading my book again.
I joke about that. No, I would ask you a question. I would ask you, have you ever experienced a company that when you were finished, you went, wow, those people were amazing, or that was a great experience? Yeah. And the answer would be yes, right? Sure. And I would say, well, that's exactly what I do. I help my clients create those experiences.
I love that. I love that. All right, so let's get down to business, shall we? Let's talk about CX. Let's get a little bit of insight into the Shep Hyken why of customer experience. So as we were discussing, you're a man of many talents, many interests. What was it that initially sparked your interest in the field of customer experience, and what keeps that spark alive after all of these successful decades later?
Wow. So I got to go all the way back to the time I was a kid because my parents, they didn't realize they were doing it, but they were teaching me great customer service skills. So when I was 12 years old, I started a magic show business doing birthday party magic shows. And I came home after the first magic show. It was a Wednesday after school. My mom picked me up, dropped me off at these people's homes. Then she picked me up after I did the show, took me home, and then she said, "What are you going to do after dinner?" And I thought the correct answer would be homework. I mean, it is a school night, right? And she said, "No, you're going to write a thank you note to the customers or to the parents that just hired you to do that magic show." And then they paid you a whopping $15 plus a tip, by the way.
Nice,
I got a tip
nice.
that day. And my dad said, "That's a great idea. I think we should go a step further. After they receive the thank you note, pick up the phone and give the parents a call and ask them, how did you like the show?" And that's called getting feedback, right? And then my dad said, "Get specific. Ask them what tricks they liked the best." So as I look back at what my parents were teaching me, feedback, how to use it, be specific with the questions, act on the feedback, show appreciation to customers. These are the basics that the biggest and most successful companies in the world use today. And I had no idea my little magic show was doing the same thing. And that's what I think is important to recognize, is that to me, customer service and customer experience is common sense that's not so common.
So I know that your family had a chain of gas stations, right? And you were almost involved in a family business there, but you found another angle to your life that brought you to where you are today. And I'm wondering, what was that spark about customer experience, even past, when you got into your adult life after college?
Sure. So, yeah, I worked in gas stations. I actually enjoyed it, and I enjoyed being on the front line. I knew that I was totally in tune with the customer experience and customer service. But here's what happened. One day when I was working at the gas station, it was extremely cold. Now, we were a self-service gas station. People would pump their own gas, right? I walked out on a cold day and I helped an elderly lady pump her gas. I've seen her in there before and I've talked to her before. And I came in, my manager said to me, "What did you just do?" And I thought, could be a trick question. I'm not sure. "I helped that lady." "Well, no, I watched you." I go, "What do you mean?" "You pumped her gas." I go, "Well, it was so cold. I told her to stay in the car and I would take care of her. It's not like we're all that busy right now." And he says, "Now, what do you think she's going to want next time?" I said, "I don't know, but I'd be very happy if she came here instead of the gas station across the street or the one across on the opposite corner." And he got frustrated with me and he walked out of the room and slammed the door. I knew I was doing the right thing. I don't care how critical he was of me. That did not change my perspective on how we want to treat people. I knew that that was the right thing to do, and I'll continue to do that. And when I did finally go to college and graduated college, I saw a couple of motivational speakers, and I thought, well, that looks like an interesting career. I had a background of entertainment. I loved business. I'm going to go see what's at the bookstore. Maybe there's a book that I can read that I could talk about. And I was drawn to all the books on customer service. This is way back in the 1980s. There was Ron Zemke's book, like Service America. There was Tom Peters that had just come out with In Search of Excellence. So I'm drawn to these books and I'm reading them and I go, I can do this. And I wrote my first speech and I called it Back to Basics. And it tied in my magic. It was like, creating these moments of magic for your customers. So that's foundational to everything I do. If you're mediocre or just satisfactory, your customers aren't going to tell you you're doing great. They're not going to tell you you're doing badly either. And one day when there's an opportunity to get even just a slightly better experience, they are going to leave you to go to that company.
That's right. I think you hit on a principle of customer experience that you understood from a very young age that so many brands and maybe individuals as well don't understand, which is anticipating the customer's needs before oftentimes they even know that they need it.
Well, the cable industry gets nailed so much for bad customer service, but I have to defend them in certain ways. Even the best companies are going to make mistakes. They're going to have stumbles. It's how you recover from them.
In a recent episode of your podcast, which I love, Amazing Business Radio.
Thank you very much.
You talked about tech taking over customer service, and you also recently penned a Forbes article about Frontier Airlines, I think it was, replacing human customer service with almost entirely digital customer interaction.
Digital and automated experiences, yeah.
So what are your thoughts on this? Is this a step forward or backward in customer experience? Is this strategy risky?
I think it's very risky. Let me first of all say the reviews on Frontier and this new experience have not been great, but I have to applaud Frontier. I think, hey, this is a bold move. They're the low-priced airline. They need to be as efficient as possible. And by the way, they're very transparent about that. The reason they're doing it is because they feel this is a way to keep costs down and be so efficient that they keep offering these lower costs. But there's a risk to that because technology is great until it's not. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, as long as it's working and it's doing its thing, but here's the point with the Frontier Airlines example. I can book my ticket online. I mean, when's the last time you called somebody to book an airline ticket? Probably not, okay? Yeah. Most people don't unless it's a complicated trip. Right. We've learned, and the airlines taught us to do that. They gave us incentives. They said if you book online, you'll get an extra 500 bonus miles, okay? And so we said, oh, I'll try it. And then, oh my gosh, it's easy. And the next thing you know, more people than not book online. Well, if Frontier gets this right, and you know what, sometimes it takes time for things to get right, they could be considered, in the history books as a very good case study. They're taking a bold move. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and they have to be smart and get back to business the way it used to be. But for right now, they are pushing it. The jury's still out on whether or not this is a good way of doing things. But recognize, if the money you're saving is costing you more business than what you're saving, then maybe you shouldn't consider saving the money that way. On the other hand, we've got to push customers to do things that they aren't used to doing. One of the things, and we may get into this later on, is we must teach our customers to use self-service solutions if we have really good ones, because that's going to free up the agent, the customer service reps, to be able to take care of more complicated situations that a customer might have.
Right. On that note, technology is advancing, and that can be great. But if I'm Nate in the customer experience or customer service profession, maybe I work in a call center, maybe I work behind the desk at an airport, how am I feeling about the technology coming down the pike that is specifically there to replace me? I mean, that's a problem for the workforce, isn't it? Like, how do you think these agents are feeling about that?
We've been talking about how AI and technology is going to replace customer support for, I don't know, at least 10, 15 years now. And I'm going to tell you, even in the foreseeable future with ChatGPT coming down the line, I don't see it happening. It was in 2013 that I put a tweet out there that the best technology in the world is no replacement for the best relationship builder, which is the human touch. So I just did an article and I opened with that very same quote from back in 2013. And the reason is, and I strongly believe it, is that the best tech in the world is wonderful until, like I say, it's great till it doesn't work. And then you need to talk to somebody, and whoever you're talking to, and this is where I get excited about people in the customer service support world, the people that you actually contact for help. Their job isn't to just help you and answer your question. Their job is to restore your confidence. Their job is to make you say, wow, that was a great experience. I had a problem. They fixed it. Why would I ever do business with anyone else? So technology is grand. It works. And what we need to do is say to our customers when they're calling us for the simplest question, say, there was an easier way for you to get this. You didn't have to call us. You didn't have to wait on hold. And by the way, I know the hold wasn't all that long, and then I had to find out who you were and authenticate the relationship that you really are who you are before I could actually give you information. Let me walk you through this real quick. Is your computer on? And walk the customer and teach them how to use the technology so the next time they don't have to call you again, because they will call you. And if you teach them and spend the extra few moments doing that, yes, time is money, and we're paying these people to take care of customers. But if taking care of them means making sure that they have all the tools they need to get the best experience so they don't have to call you again and spend the money that it takes to hire the agents that are on the front line, I think that's the smart way to go about it. Now, to your question, do customer service reps, are their jobs in jeopardy? Only if the questions they answer is, yes, your package went out yesterday.
Fair enough.
Because if it's that simple, then you don't really need to, anything could do that. So,
right.
But I believe in my heart that even the Chat GPT short term, it's going to be good, but it's not going to be a replacement. And long term, I just don't see AI in the next 10 years completely killing off the customer support world. Did video kill the radio star? Okay.
One of the things that I love that you said, one of the jobs of a customer experience agent is to restore confidence.
Yes.
How much better do you think our experiences with those agents consistently would be if they had supervisors who empowered them to do that and who reminded them that they're not just there to field complaints and to solve problems?
In some companies, there's something called customer retention, which is where you send customers who are getting ready to leave.
Right.
All right. I don't think that's a great word, okay, for them. I believe everybody's in the customer retention department. Everybody. Our goal is to be so good that we retain that customer for the next time. By the way, that's my definition of loyalty. I go down these little rabbit holes.
No, go for it.
Loyalty is not about a lifetime. It's about the next time, every time. So what are we doing right now at this very moment to make sure the customer comes back the next time, every time? Hence, I want to retain the customer. I am the customer loyalty department, the customer retention department, the complaint department, the service department, all rolled into one. I'm the one that creates customer confidence. By the way, one of the greatest companies in the world. What do you think the number one company is that people scream out?
Probably Amazon.
It is Amazon. Why do we love Amazon? They have created a digital system that is so powerful that it makes me feel connected to them. People, families paying to use that technology, even if we don't have to, because we get some perks when we do, and we love those perks. Very smart, because it makes us want to stay and get the most out of Amazon. Hence, that's their Prime membership program, if you want to call it that. Some people refer to that as a loyalty program. Loyalty, if you're paying for a loyalty program, I think it's more of a membership program, but that's me. What did they do that's so well? They created this system that works. And when I go online, they say, hey, welcome back. Here's some recommendations based on past purchases, things that you've looked at. So it's actually like walking into a store and having a salesperson that remembers me, tell me who I am. Now, here's the cool part. Every time I do business with them, I am completely confident that it worked. Why? I get an email confirming my order. I get an email confirming that it's being shipped with tracking information if I need it. I get an email with sometimes a picture showing it leaning against my door that it has arrived. The little lady behind me, you can't see her, but it's Alexa. I get a little notification, your package has arrived. They do everything to make me know I'm in control of my experience. So what happens when it doesn't work? Jeff Bezos said, we don't need a customer service department. We shouldn't need one. We should be so good at what we do that nobody ever needs to call us. And somebody said, well, that's great until not the technology doesn't work, but we turn our package over to UPS, FedEx, the post office, whatever, to deliver it. Maybe there's a snowstorm, maybe they lose it, whatever. And what happens? Customer needs to call somebody. They're going to call us. And the cool thing is that even if it was somebody else's fault, Amazon always accepted the responsibility. But here's the cool thing. With Amazon, they put you through this process. If you need help or support, if you've got a damaged item, whatever, they put you through this process digitally. And at any given time you feel it's not working for you, you can click here, put your phone number in, and within seconds usually, that phone rings and it's, hi, we're Amazon. We understand there's a problem. And guess what? That agent is looking at your record while you're working at it. That's a seamless transition to a human support person that says, I see you're looking at an item that was shipped out the other day and it looks like you haven't received it. Is that right? Great. Let me look. And all of a sudden, we've shifted to human. But they pushed you into the digital. So I say digital first with a human backup is a great way to go if that's the type of company you are.
You know, I totally resonate with that. Engender loyalty in me because the process is so seamless and frictionless. And I know that your book, I'll Be Back, great title by the way, says a lot about loyalty doesn't just mean they keep coming back. There's something extra there. And I'm wondering if you can give us an example of a business or an organization or a brand or maybe just an experience that you had that made you say, I'm going to be loyal to this business going forward because of the experience.
Boy, every single day. So I wrote this book. I wrote 2 books, actually written 8 books, but the 2 books I want to reference. One is The Convenience Revolution, which is all about being convenient and frictionless and created a no-hassle experience. And that ties into I'll Be Back, which the subtitle is How to Get Customers to Come Back Again and Again. And as I look at what, I'm going to tell you one of the most powerful things you can do is remember who your customer is. So when I log back in to a website, any website, Amazon's, American Airlines, Southwest Airlines, welcome back, Shep. Okay? So I'm back. There's a great TV show called Cheers.
Yep.
And I actually have, I called it the Cheers effect. I have a chapter of that in the book. And the Cheers effect is people want to go to a place where everybody knows their name. Yep. And that's their theme song, where everybody knows their name. So that's what I think companies can do. You can do it digitally. You can do it personally. I was just at a hotel last week in San Antonio. And they welcomed me back because they saw that I'd been there. And then they said, oh, I see you're coming back here next month. Hold on just a moment. I want to introduce you to someone. And somebody from off to the side came over. Hi, Mr. Hyken. I'm the relationship manager here, and I just wanted to, I see you're coming back. So here's my card. I want you to call me before you get here so I can make sure we get you the room you want. Wow. Okay.
That's great.
Not only take a look at my history, but look at what I've got going forward.
I love that. But you also make the point that just because, on the flip side, just because your customers are coming back doesn't necessarily mean they're loyal.
Right. Let's talk about that because that was a premise for the book. Yeah. I was working with a client and we were talking about different measurements, net promoter score, on a scale of 0 to 10, what's the likelihood that you would recommend us? Customer satisfaction, 1 to 10, 1 to 5, however you want to look at it. Were you happy? Were you satisfied? And I said, there's something we all need to be really considering, and I think it's especially important in your business, is to track customer behavior. He goes, yes, that's what we do. That's how we know we're doing a good job more than any other measurement at all. So this particular guy was the president and now CEO of a major franchise organization of hair salons. And in my audience were maybe 1,200 managers and owners of these hair salons, which I think, if you think about this for a moment, they hired the bald guy to talk to people about cutting hair the right way.
The irony.
Anyway, so we were talking about it, and this is what I learned from him. He says, there's different types of customers we have. By the way, every business, there's not one customer and only one type of customer. There's different types. But the idea is we understand who our customers are and why they buy from us. So the cadence of somebody who cuts their hair, back to the hair salon. There's people who, if I did have a head of hair, I might get my hair cut once a month. So if I were to skip a couple of months after coming in for 5-6 months in a row, you might want to say to yourself, hey, what's wrong? Is Shep okay? Is there a health reason he's not coming in? Did he find somebody that cuts hair better? Is he not happy with this anymore? We need to find out why. My wife gets her hair colored every so often, every 6 weeks, 2 months, whatever it is. If she misses, her salon should find out why. So we need to look at behavior. Now, back to the comment you made, that just because people come in doesn't mean they're loyal.
Right.
So the first thing is we want to make sure we understand what a loyal customer looks like and what a repeat customer looks like, because they're not necessarily the same, even though they may resemble as such. So the repeat customer comes in as you expect them to come in. But what would happen if a competitor came in that was lower priced, a competitor that came in that was closer in proximity, a competitor for whatever reason came in and disrupted that customer's business with you because they offered something different, better, more accessible, closer, easier, whatever it is. So we need to understand that the repeat customer isn't always loyal. They're coming back for a reason, so find out why. I come back to get my hair cut at this particular location because it's closest to my home. If a competitor comes in that's closer, guess what? I'm going to go there. So that is not a loyal customer. That's a repeat customer. Now, how do we shift them to becoming loyal? We figure out a way to make proximity, accessibility, distance not important to them anymore. And typically the way we do that is by not just having a good product, but getting some type of emotional connection with them. Maybe we get, hey, I'm the manager here. You're the person, I'm the person you're going to want to talk to every time you come in here. I want to make sure you're happy. By the way, is there somebody in particular that you like getting your hair cut with? Great. I will make sure that's the person you go. See, now I'm creating these connections. Make sense?
Yeah.
Now, that's the hair salon business. There's many, and it doesn't matter what kind of business you're in. But B2B, everything we talk about applies to that as well. Why do I love them? Their machines are the same machines I could buy from somewhere else. Their price is as competitive as anyone else. Why? There's an inside sales rep that always follows up with me. He or she always checks in with me. Make sure that's the reason. That person is the one reason I continue to do business with them. Once again, all the technology in the world is wonderful, but it's the human touch, that relationship that creates the loyalty. Without an emotional connection, you can't have loyalty.
I know that you've said 58% of customers are willing to pay more if they're promised better customer experiences.
They are, yeah, But I'm going to give you another stat, convenience. 70% of customers will pay more if they know the experience is convenient.
Absolutely. Convenience is one of those things that people are willing to pay for sure. And I also think that trust is something that people are willing to pay extra for.
No doubt.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's like buying a diamond. How do you really know unless you really know diamonds, right? But here's why you trust them. You trust them based on the way they treated you. And you can call that service and experience. And we have another stat that's really interesting because you were quoting 83% of the people we surveyed trust a company more if they provide an excellent customer experience. Think about that. And trust is that's an emotional connection. Right? That's one of the things that will drive loyalty.
Not just that they want to make money from me. It's huge.
Yeah, and in the part of the world you and I live in, which is North America, we tend to be very trusting to the brands. Why? They make a promise to us, and we basically say, okay, until you let me down, I'm going to believe you.
Not only different parts of the world have different expectations, but different generations have different expectations. How important is it that brands and organizations realize the different expectations that, say, Gen Z or millennials might have with their customer experience as opposed to, say, boomers or even older than that?
Yeah, I'm amazed. One of the things we look at as when we do our surveys, it's called a Gen Pop study. So it's based on the population of the U.S., okay? And you need to understand who your customers are. And, just even in the communication area, still the number one way customers communicate with a company is through the phone. 71% of customers prefer the phone first. But let's break it down. If you look at baby boomers, 87% of the older population wants to use the phone first.
Makes sense.
Versus just 60% of Gen Z. So, and second behind the phone is email. And then comes, you've got your online chat. And what's interesting is as you look at all the different things that will drive a good customer experience, the number of chances customers will give you if you create a problem for them. You can look at the generations and you can spot the trends year after year as to, okay, we need to manage that. So to your point, or to your question, we need to know who our customers are, and we need to cater to that customer. If your majority of your customers are hitting retirement age, you can't treat them like they're Gen Zs. The new technology that you're bringing on may not be appropriate for them. You should have it because you will have customers that are younger, and they're going to start to, as your older ones go off, the younger ones come on. They're the ones interested more in technology.
This made me think of, you talked about the most frequently asked question at Disney theme parks.
Yeah.
Is what?
Where's the bathroom?
Right. Which is hilarious. So,
and answering the same dumb question over and over. Can't you see? There's bathrooms all over the place.
Right.
There's a sign, men's room. Can't you see that? If you were asked that question over and over again, you start to get frustrated. But if you're trained right and you take every moment, you say, this is what I'm here to do, to take care of them. I'm going to answer that question differently. But on top of that, what can we do to give the customer the information so they don't have to ask the question anymore?
So it's as if the absence of the need for service is the best service?
Well, that's a totally different topic. Let's address that. Hold that thought for a second. If I'm being asked the same question over and over again, then I have not created the system that's set up the right way to get people to avoid me asking that question. Now, let's go back to the customer service rep and agent, or the support agent. There's a reason AI is going to be effective. There's a reason chat bots, computerized conversations, are going to be even more so effective, because they can answer the questions that are asked again and again. Not necessarily customer service problems, but can you tell me the balance of my bank account? Can you tell me if the product was shipped? Can you tell me, something simple like that? You don't need to talk to a human being to do that. And we talked about this earlier in our conversation. So create the system that makes it easy for a customer to get the information they need without having to talk to a human being. When they do talk to it, make sure that human being is empowered to do the job of not only answering the question, resolving a problem, but making that person love the company even more. Now, the statement that you just made before, that something to the effect of the best service is...
Need the service at all?
Well, it's like technology. It's great till it doesn't work, okay? And in the perfect world, we would never need to activate our insurance policies. So, yes, the best service is no need for service. And if you can communicate that properly, that we have created a system that has very little defect, that has very little problems, that has very little issues, you're going to love it. It is smooth. It is flawless. Try us out. Yeah, we're a little bit more expensive, but guess what? You'll never have to call us, Or maybe I'm a little bit more expensive that when I do call you, I never have to wait. There is a company out there that I do business with that promised me that whenever I called, I would never have to wait more than 3 minutes, I think was their number, and I would always be able to call 24/7. By the way, that level of service costs a little bit more than the regular, and it's like an insurance policy. I'm going to buy it.
That's a willing
to pay more money for good service.
Sure. You are a man of many opinions, would you say, based on your own experiences, and I wonder if you have an opinion that you've put out there that might be your most controversial opinion, or something that people are like, wait a second, Shep, I disagree with you on that point. Do you have something like that?
Yeah, people disagree with me all the time. Part of it is they don't understand, and a lot of times it's like, well, we're taking things out of context. When I say I don't think AI is going to take over customer support, some of the technology companies say you're crazy.
Yep.
Yes, that's why we're doing this. But I have this concept about customer amazement. How do you amaze a customer? You don't go over the top and blow them away with the most incredible service they've ever had every time they interact with you. That's impossible to do. Just do what's expected. And when you do that consistently and predictably, and if you want to be better, you don't need to be a lot better. Just be the tiniest bit better than average. If you do that, your customers are going to say they're amazing. Why? Well, they're always so helpful. Whenever I call them, they always call me back. They're always so friendly. The word always followed by something positive, and that's what's putting you in the zone of amazement. Now, the reason I'm going to use this as my example is I've had a client say to me, I'm not going to hire you because of your definition of amazement. I want my customers to be wowed and blown away every time they deal with us. I go, how are you going to do that? And he went into all the ways he thought he could. And I'm not going to change this guy's mind. As much as I was trying to, he did not agree with the idea that consistently and predictably the experience that I expect is what's going to get the loyal customer. And he said, no, you got to blow them away every time. So how are you going to do that? You got to wait for a problem to fall in your lap. Or you've got to overhear, if you're at a restaurant and you overhear a couple saying, oh, it's your 10-year anniversary, I love you so much, blah, blah, blah. I can, as a server, say, oh, I'm going to surprise them with a cake. But the next time they come in, I'm not going to surprise them with the cake because it's not their anniversary. There's no way to blow them away. So you know what I do? I just do what they expected. I'm friendly. I'm nice. The food is good and it's served well. And that's what they wanted, and they will be back. Your customer's brain, when it comes to customer service and experience and support, is your competition that you're being compared to is not your true competition. It's to the best experience they've ever had. And that is the lesson here that I'd love to share, and that is stop just looking at your competitor for ideas on how to get better. Just get in a room with your colleagues and ask, who are the companies you love doing business with outside of our industry? Amazon, the restaurant down the street, the car repair center that you go to, whatever. What is it about them that you love? And be very, very specific. I don't want you to say things like, oh, they got really nice people, because everybody does.
Yeah, sure.
What is it that you love? Okay. All right. That's a disruptor. So what is it? And by the way, where did they learn that? Maybe they learned it outside of their company, but it doesn't matter. If you don't do something like that, could you do something like that? So what you're doing is looking at companies outside of your industry. What do they do best? And is there something that they're doing that you could be doing, which now not only makes you the best in your industry, you're now in a group with the best in the world. World class.
I love that. And you saying something about everybody has nice people. That's true a lot of the times. And I think there's a huge difference with brands and organizations that invest in their employee experience. I know you've said what's going on the inside of a business is going to show on the outside to the customers. Can you talk a little bit about what businesses and organizations can be doing for their employees and that experience and how that spills over for the customer's experience?
So I think you just nailed it. You said what's happening on the inside is being felt on the outside. You can't treat people one way and then expect them to go out and treat their customers a different way, a better way. You can't take them in the back, yell at them, scream at them, tell them, you're doing a lousy job. Now try to turn around, get out there and be nice. It's incongruent. The beatings won't stop until your morale gets better. So it's like in this vicious circle. So what we want to do is, who should come first, the employees or the customers? Well, the reason we can be in business is because customers pay us. However, they won't pay us if we don't treat them right and sell them the products that they expect. Hence, employees become really important at that point because they're the ones that are going to make that experience happen. So I really think it's important to focus on the employee experience. Make customers want to do business with you because of the employees who engage better with the customer. Brian Keeley, who just retired from Baptist Health South, which is a big medical center down in the southeast part of the United States, I don't know if it was his words or I just interpreted it this way, but I came up with this idea of destination employment, which means that when you come to work at Baptist Health South, you never want to go anywhere else. Why? Because of the way they treat you. And his belief was that if we treat people in such a way that they'd never want to leave, I'll bet they treat the customers, the patients, their families, if you will, so much better. So create a great environment to work in and watch how it permeates toward the outside. A number of years ago, I'm doing a speech. A young guy comes up to me. He's about 18 years old. He says, hey, I just had the best compliment from one of my guests. He worked at a pizza restaurant. I said, yeah, what happened? He says, the guest asked if I was the owner. And I go, well, are you? He goes, no, I mean, I'm 18 years old. How can I be the owner of this restaurant? I said, well, you never know. Is your dad the owner? No. So I wondered, why would they ask me that? I was so surprised. And so they told him, you act like you own the place. You act like you care so much about us that you had to be the owner. And at that moment, he said, wow, I want to be so good that every guest thinks that I'm the owner or the owner's kid. And I thought, that's a pretty lofty goal. But let me tell you what was really happening behind the scenes. There's a reason he was able to do it. Number one, he admired the owner, the actual boss. His was the owner of the pizza restaurant. And that boss empowered him to do what was necessary to take care of the guests, trained him well, and then told him to do his job. And that is why it works. So I know you used the word empowerment somewhere in our conversation a while back. And I think it's important to bring it up now, because if you hire good people to do their job and empower them to do it right, there's also lots of reasons that you can say yes to that you never even thought about before because they weren't ever presented to you. But if you go through this mental checklist, well, it's not illegal, it's not immoral, it's not going to cost the company money, it's something we could do, I'm going to do it. And then if I've been empowered and I've been trained right, I'm probably not making a mistake. But my job at that point is not to just take care of that customer, it's to let my manager know, this is what I did for this customer, what do you think? And that manager should say, that is wonderful. I'm going to share that with everybody else on the team so they know how to deal with that situation now as well. And if I can't say yes and I'm not sure what to do, then I go to my manager, say, I'm not sure. But the manager might be able to say, let me show you how to work through this problem. And once I'm given permission, or actually, once I'm taught to do that, I've been given permission to do it in the future without having to ask permission again. I was at a resort. There were 4 of us looking around. There were no 4 tops available, tables with 4 chairs, but there were 2 tables next to each other that could be pushed together. So I asked the host if it would be okay if we pushed those together, and she said, I'll have to go check with my manager. And of course, the manager said, sure, push them together. So we agreed to come back the next morning to have breakfast. Same exact scenario, restaurants filled, but these same 2 tables were there, and we asked the same person, is it okay if we push the tables together? And what do you think she did? She went back and asked the manager. Yeah, I know. So that is the antithesis of what we're talking about here. So,
Shep, I cannot thank you enough for your time, but I do want to say one thing for all of our CX sages out there. If you got something meaningful to you and you post it on social media with the hashtag CXWise, CXWISE, we will send you a free copy of Shep's newest book, I'll Be Back. Shep,
I love that. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for your time. It's been great chatting with you, Shep Hyken. Thank you for making us all CX wiser. Until next time.